Hello everybody, so this is a video showing my entire Arrow Blu Ray video collection. So here first you've got the special editions, or box set should I say. So you've got the Vengeance trilogy with Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, Old Boy and Lady Vengeance. Old Boy is one of my favourite films ever. I've not seen Lady Vengeance and Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance in quite a while, but I'll be getting to them now, especially during this lockdown. And you've got the Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas collector's edition box set. I watched that one a few times now, but watched it recently. It's a real good transfer. RoboCop, one of my favourite films ever. This is again the special edition. This is a really good transfer. I own a few versions of this on DVD and Blu-ray, and I would say that is the best transfer that I own. And you've got Clive Barker's Nightbreed, aka Cabal. This is the collector's edition as well. When I watched this when I was younger, I didn't like it too much, but I think this is the director's cut, so it's got extra bits. Sort of makes the story not only make more sense, but it's got a lot more sort of entertaining bits added into it. And then you've got Waterworld with the slipcase. I think when this first came out, it bombed massively at the box office and that, but I quite enjoyed it, although it does have flaws. It's quite an entertaining film. You've got Donnie Darko with the slipcase. A really good film. Bit of a head twister. A lot of people I know don't like it because it doesn't sort of give them any clarity at the ending, whereas I quite like films that leave you thinking. And you've got Weird Science. I think this one's from the 80s, but I never actually seen this when I was younger. I've only sort of seen it recently since I bought it. And that's a real enjoyable one. Quite funny. Then you've got The Guyver, which stars Mark Hamill. Again, this one's got a slipcase. I didn't like this one too much. It's got some good effects and that, but it's quite a strange film and felt quite long. Then you've got Harpoon, which is quite a new film, quite sort of disturbing, quite well made. I was quite surprised how good this one was, actually. Then you've got Daniel Isn't Real, which stars Arnie's son, and he's real good in it. I'd say probably a better actor, or at least at delivering the dialogue, than his dad is, but I guess he's speaking more in his mother tongue. This is good, quite sort of disturbing again, and quite messed up and weird to follow. Sorry, that noise in the background is my cat using his litter tray. And then you've got Satanic Panic. It's kind of like a throwback film, although it's quite new. Quite impressed with this one. Quite funny, good acting, pretty good gore, some good twists. Quite an enjoyable film. This is a classic, American Werewolf in London. I'm sure everybody's seen this. I watched this a lot of times. Didn't get the collector's edition at the time, so just got this standard one, but good transfer of it again. You've got Candyman. I say another classic, one of my favourite slashers. Quite different to the book. That is based on a book by Clive Barker called The Forbidden. And in that, it's sort of set in London, and Candyman, I think, is sort of Caucasian descent in it, so done quite well to change it into the sort of not satire, but the sort of political film that it is. Got Hellraiser Part 1. Again, this is a classic and one of my favourites. A good transfer. You've got Hellbound, Hellraiser 2. Not quite as good, but Dr. Channard is good in it. Then you've got House, which is quite a funny film. Quite over the top and crazy, but an enjoyable watch. I don't think I've ever seen any of the other sequels, although I will get them all eventually. Then you've got 12 Monkeys. Quite fitting for this time, actually, what it's about. Did enjoy this one, not one of my favourites, but a good film. And you've got Pulse. I haven't actually watched this one yet. I've seen the American remake years ago when I was younger, but didn't like it too much. But meant to be a good one. I do like a lot of Asian horror, so I'll get around to that soon. The Ring, this one's a classic. I'd say this kind of kicked it all off for the Asian horror sort of trend, and then obviously The Grudge and other things came along, and then the Americans started remaking them all. I do actually quite like the American remake. I wouldn't say it's better, but it's quite a good film. I think it might actually be done by the original director, the remake. And you've got Dark Water, again another Asian film. This is really good, quite creepy and tense. Audition by Takeshi Miike. This is real good. Quite sort of starts like a sort of love drama for a few hours. well, about an hour or more, and some people find it boring, but once it goes there at the end, it gets pretty disturbing and brutal. Happiness of the Katakuris, again, this is the same director, Takashi Miike, and this is a crazy film, kind of part musical, part comedy, part zombie horror. The bit when the old guy throws the stick at the crow, the seagull, is classic. Terraformers, another Takashi Miike, not actually watched this one yet, but looks pretty crazy, a bit like a sort of lower budget version of Starship Troopers maybe. Killer Clowns from Outer Space, this is another classic one. Used to like this when I was younger, always seen the cover of it in the video shot back in the day. Burnt Offerings, quite an old, well, maybe not an old release, but quite an old film, probably from the late 70s. Really good film though. Starring Oliver Reed, who's a classic actor, quite sort of messed up and intense. And you've got Matinee, which I think is one of the more unknown Joe Dante films, maybe compared to The Howling and Gremlins and that. Really good film, enjoyable, sort of sci-fi. And you've got Colobos, which is, I guess, is a kind of slasher. It's quite different. I quite enjoyed it, but I wouldn't say it's one of the best ones of their releases. Descender, I think this is a really underrated and quite unknown film, but I really enjoyed it. About psychic powers, the scene when it all goes in slow motion, the people are trying to use electroshock therapy on him, and he sends them flying around the room, and that is amazing. Black Moon Rising, I think this one is actually written by John Carpenter, starring Tommy Lee Jones and Linda Hamilton from Terminator fame, and this is a really good film about a car that is very fast, and then everybody's sort of trying to kill them, stop them, because they've basically got some technology and they've hidden it in the boot of the car. Not seen these in a while actually, but it's the David Cronenberg early works, so sort of short films, quite experimental and strange, but I like pretty much everything David Cronenberg's done. Talking of Cronenberg, you've got Shivers. I think this is one of his earliest, maybe not his first. I think maybe Rabid was his first and this was his second, but quite messed up, and you could tell where he was going to go with the body horror from that point on. Videodrome, this is probably, other than The Fly, between this one and The Fly, is probably my favourite David Cronenberg film. James Woods is really good in it, and Deborah Harry, considering I don't think she'd done acting before this, she was just a singer, but she's good in it. And you've got The Baby, which is quite a messed up, I wouldn't say disturbing, but quite bizarre and creepy to watch, where basically as an adult baby and the family sort of try and keep him suppressed as a baby and abuse him and things, and not really a spoiler alert, but it's quite good, but pretty bizarre and strange, kind of like an old sort of grindhouse sort of cult one. The Beyond, this is, I'd say, Lucio Fulci's best film and one of my favourite. Italian, one of my favourite horrors actually, probably. It's real sort of crazy special effects and a nice atmosphere. Then you've got a John Carpenter, Big Trouble in Little China. I think this one flopped as well. Quite a lot of Carpenter films did, and yet they've now all gained cult status. But yeah, this is really good. I enjoy this one. Some good effects and kind of light-hearted sort of family film, I would say. Then you've got The Burbs. This is one of my favourite films ever, with Tom Hanks in it. Carrie Fisher's in it, Bruce Dern, basically my next door neighbours, the Klopeks. They think they're sort of evil and doing crazy things, and you don't know until sort of the end, because it keeps on twisting whether they really are or Tom Hanks is just overthinking it. Stormy Monday, I think this one's got a jazz soundtrack. I think it's a British film, starring Sean Bean, so I'm guessing he's going to die in it like he does in everything else. Not seen this one yet, but I'll be getting around to that soon. Dark Blue with Kurt Russell, like anything with Kurt Russell really. This is a good film, real sort of intense. I think it's set in LA, like sort of cop drama, quite brutal. Ronin, not actually watched this copy yet, but I've seen this when I was younger. Really good film. Got Robert De Niro and I can't remember his name now, but the guy from Leon, which again is one of my favourites. To Live and Die in LA. I found this one quite slow when I wouldn't say it's boring, but it's quite a sort of slow pace, but it's quite a good film, quite a good sort of crime film. King of New York, this is a good one with Christopher Walken. This is one of the older sort of white edition, must be released a little while ago from Arrow. This is an interesting film, quite a good sort of crime film, especially I've never seen the way in any other film when people get shot, they're literally bodies thrown to the floor and they bounce up off the concrete. People Under the Stairs, probably my favourite Wes Craven film other than Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1 or 3, The Dream Warriors. Really good film, interesting, sort of unpredictable, pretty zany. Hell Comes to Frogtown with Roddy Piper. Quite good, sort of silly film. Found it a bit boring to tell you the truth, but all of these are sort of watchable in my opinion. Society, filmed by Brian Yuzna. This one's pretty crazy. Sort of first hour feels like almost Beverly Hills 90210 sort of American sort of teen drama, and then near the end it just gets crazy with some wacky special effects. I think most people only really watch it for the bit at the end, the shunting I think it's called. This is quite a shocking film by Gaspar Noé, who does a lot of messed up stuff. Climax, really amazing camera work. A lot of it's shot in huge scenes, some real disturbing stuff going on in there. Basically a whole dance troupe celebrating and someone spikes the punch. Then you've got Necromantic. This is a messed up one. I got this a while ago. I don't like it too much. It's not that well made, but it's quite a disturbing film. It's quite sort of famous just for how crazy it is. And Necromantic 2. This is the special edition. Keep this down here because I don't like this film too much, so I don't put it up with the other special editions. But again, it's kind of more of the same. Probably not as good, but just as messed up. It's got some hairs on that one. This Dario Argento's Phenomena. I do quite like this one. I haven't seen it in a long time actually, and since my DVD version I watched like 10 years ago, so I'm going to have to check that one out again. And then you've got the Andromeda Strain, which I heard is a good sci-fi. Not watched this one yet, going to check this one out soon, but a nice addition. Then you've got Madman. This one is quite a good slasher, not one of the best, but outside of sort of Friday the 13th and Halloween, The Burning is sort of one of the more underrated, I would say. The bit at the start where the guy's telling the story around the campfire is really intense. Got Day of the Dead. Again, this is a white version, so I think it's quite an older release. This is my favourite of George A. Romero's. I prefer this to Night of the Living Dead, although that's more seminal. And I also prefer it to Dawn of the Dead, although most people probably wouldn't agree with that. Class of Newcomb High, Trauma film. Again, this is an older sort of white edition. This is quite an insane film, a bit like The Toxic Avenger. I have seen this quite a years ago, but I can't remember it too well, but I just remember it was wacky. Got a steelbook of Blade of the Immortal, which again, I think is a Takashi Miike film. I've not seen this one yet, but I will be getting around to it soon. And I've just realised I've left one in the front room, where obviously I've been watching films, so I'll just show you that one. And that one is The Burning, which I think is one of the most underrated slashers out there. I think it's only recently been released and uncut in the UK, especially the scene where the shears that you can see on the front. And yeah, this is a good version, quite a good transfer. And that's it for now. I'll be back soon with a video of my entire Tartan Asia Extreme collection on DVD, as I own all of those. Thanks for watching, bye.